How's everyone doing tonight? This is Fantasy Football Reporters. Here with Sean, Hammer and Hank Marucci. We got a good show for you. I'm Frank Groteman, the big guy, Frank the Tank. Got a big show for you today. We can review a new bonehead play, very funny. Predictions, a new stat challenge, our stat challenge winner, and we got some injury updates as well. I'm going to pass it over to Sean, talk about this past week's winner, Week 8's winner of the stat challenge for the Randy Moss rookie card.
Yep, we had this Randy Moss rookie card. It was Craig Kowalski of Dorchester, Mass., who actually had the lowest guess of the week at 3 receptions, 30 yards. Moss only had 1 reception for 8 yards in the game. He takes home the Randy Moss rookie. And this week we have a Jamal Charles rookie card, and I'm going to toss it over to Frank.
Jamal Charles, yeah, absolutely. College to the pros rookie card. Looking for rushes, rushing yards, touchdowns, and then total offensive yards for the tiebreaker for the Kansas City Chiefs this week in Week 9. We're going to move on actually to the bonehead play of the week.
All right, this week live in studio we have Terrell Owens. How are you, Terrell?
What's up, Frankie? I'm good.
Well, you're part of the bonehead play. You're not the bonehead. Well, actually, you probably are a bonehead, aren't you?
Get your popcorn ready.
All right, T.O. Of course you'd say something silly like that. Well, you're looking at the play here. We got Carson Palmer back to pass, and you're running your route. It looks like you're triple, maybe even double covered. I mean, at least double covered at this point. What are you thinking running the route?
I'm like, man, I hope Carson don't throw me this ball.
Okay. Well, Carson did throw the ball to you, and Chris Clements covering you. Do you know him at all?
No, he's a scrub. Some scrub.
He is a scrub after this play. He's the bonehead of the week for sure. He looks like he has a perfect interception. I mean, it's like, I didn't mean to hit you in the hands kind of throw right between the numbers, and for some reason it let him hit it in his chest. He looks like he knees it, maybe kicks it, and then hits it and almost hands it off to you as you walk right into the end zone.
Yep.
What were you thinking that whole time when he was kind of flopping around like a dead fish?
I was like, man, I'm so good.
Fish
If
out of
that
water.
was me, I would have intercepted that. I would have returned it for a touchdown. But I knew that he wasn't going to catch it because just being around me, since I'm so good, he was going to just hand me the ball pretty much, and I was going to get another touchdown on the year.
Okay. And when are you going to change your name to Ocho Uno, like Ocho Cinco did for his name?
The application is currently in the mail. It should be any day now. You'll be hearing from my agent.
Well, T.O., thank you for coming in. I especially like the glasses, and I hope to see you on some more bonehead plays, and my popcorn will sure be ready for those.
Get your popcorn ready.
Thank you, T.O.
Well, thanks again, T.O., for being here, and we'll hopefully see him on the future shows. I'm going to pass it over to Sean, Hammer, and Hank Marucci for a little bit of a weekend review.
All right, we're going to start with QBs. We're going to run it down. Matt Stafford finds Calvin Johnson for 3 TDs in his first game back from his shoulder injury. And he hit Pettigrew for 1 as well, although he only threw for 212 yards. Pick him up as a free agent if he's available. He's going to be in the working the waiver wire column this week, definitely. David Garrard finally has a good day. Throws 4 TDs, actually.
Wow.
Actually, a great day because he ran for 1 more.
Well, congratulations, David.
Congratulations. Right. You deserve it.
You deserve one.
He only threw for 260, however. Rivers and Breeze actually had almost identical stat lines, 305 yards apiece, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Kyle Orton continues to throw it all over the place. In a losing effort, 369, a score, and a pick. He did lose a fumble as well. Moving on to wide receivers, Calvin Johnson breaks the 100-yard mark by only 1. He snags 3 TDs in the process, like we talked about, in the Lions' second win of the year. Brandon Lloyd from Kyle Orton hauls in 169 yards and a touchdown. Frank, is Brandon Lloyd the number 1 receiver in Denver?
Absolutely. Yep. He's been really good. I know they have a plethora of receivers actually. Royal, Demaryius Thomas there as well. Gaffney's having a great year, but yeah, Brandon Lloyd's he's getting the most targets. I'd say he's their number 1 right now.
It seems like they have a lot of guys that could step up and be a number 1 on many teams. So, Mike Sims-Walker takes advantage of Garrard's big day, goes for 153 and a score. For running backs, we had Jamal Charles running all over Buffalo for 177. He had 4 receptions for 61 yards too. Benjarvis Green Ellis has his best game as a pro, 112 yards, 2 scores. LeGarrette Blount out of nowhere busts out 120 and 2 TDs. Frank, Is Arizona just terrible against the run, or can we trust LeGarrette Blount from here on out to put up, decent fantasy numbers?
I mean, I thought the Caddy was the one. I thought he was the one. I thought it was an American Classic, but apparently LeGarrette's the man moving forward. I know Cadillac's gone. He had, 10 rushes maybe? I don't even know. He's terrible.
Yeah.
Get Blount. He's a free agent in a lot of leagues. He's the man moving forward. He looked great.
Yeah. Frank Gore has an average Frank Gore day, has 118 and a score. Moving on to tight ends, Antonio Gates has become a staple of our week in review. He's been in the top 3 fantasy tight ends 6 out of the 8 weeks. He's been in the top 5 7 out of the 8 weeks. He only missed it in week 6.
That's right.
This week, 123 yards and another touchdown. Jason Witten goes for 10 receptions, 97 yards and a score. Kitno was looking his way all day, 12 targets, tied for a team high. Mercedes Lewis only has 2 receptions on the day, but good news, they're both touchdowns. So you worked out if you had him. In defenses, Tampa Bay leads the pack with 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a sack. Kickers, Dan Carpenter, 5 field goals, 1 was over 50. Janikowski hits 4 field goals to go along with 3 extra points. Right now, I'm going to pass it over to Frank for the Week 8 busts.
We have, I'm going to try to be quick here, but we had a lot of busts this week, and a lot of them were related to injury as well. But Jonathan Stewart, we thought was going to have a big week because D. Will actually was out with injury, and he actually had only 30 yards against St. Louis. Well, 14 rushes, 30 yards. That's about 2 yards a carry. I think Sean Marucci averages more yards when he comes off the bench for his spot starts.
It's not tough.
It's not tough at all to go 2 yards. Just fall forward.
Yeah.
Steven Jackson in that same game had 23 rushes for 59 yards. That's terrible for Steven Jackson. We thought he was going to have a big week. Why do you think he did so bad?
I mean, I don't know.
Against Carolina.
Yeah, I know,
One
against
and
Carolina,
6.
too. I mean, he's a big bruising back, and as we've said before here, he does play when he's injured, so maybe he's nicked up and he's just not talking about it, but that's a bad day for Steven Jackson.
It was terrible against Carolina, who is not very good this year. Wes Welker, for the 2nd straight week, 3 catches, only 3 catches, 24 yards. He makes our bust of the week again.
Yeah.
What is Welker doing?
I mean, I don't think it's anything that Welker's doing. I just think that it's what Brady's doing. He's throwing to the open guy. They have so many offensive weapons. I mean, you saw Danny Woodhead take a Kevin Falk snap in their game, run right into the end zone.
Right.
Brady's just spreading it around more, and Welker, his numbers are going down because of it.
Okay. Kenny Britt, 0 points. He got injured in the first quarter. Zach Miller, 1 catch, 8 yards. And
Randy Moss stats.
Yeah,
Randy Moss stats.
Randy Moss is actually the next one. 1 catch, 8 yards. We thought Moss was going to come out and try to make a statement against his own team, but afterwards he sounded like he actually wanted to come back to New England.
Yeah, that was a statement.
The New York Jets' entire offense, not much to say there. 0 points against Green Bay. Congratulations to you guys. Tim Hightower lost his job this past week to Beanie Wells, and apparently he lost the backup running back role too because Larod Stephen Howling actually had 12 carries to his 1.
He looked good,
and
too.
he looked really good. And Tim Hightower had 1 reception, so he had like one point basically from a fantasy perspective, and 2 touches the entire game. Hines Ward, 3 catches, 15 yards. Deion Branch, 1 catch, 21 yards. Marshawn Lynch, 9 rushes, 7 yards. Really, less than 1 yard a carry. I mean, that's just terrible. And then we had Vernon Davis, had 1 catch for 12, but he also got injured. So yeah, those are our busts from week 8. I'm going to pass it back to Sean for some injury updates.
Yep. We have Vince Young left Sunday's game and was seen later with a boot on his left ankle. He says there's a pretty good chance that he will play on Sunday. However, so you want to check his status if you have him. Kenny Britt injured his hamstring, like Frank had already mentioned. Jeff Fisher was quoted as saying today that he hopes that he won't lose Britt for the rest of the season. So it sounds like that might be serious. Ryan Torian injured his hamstring as well in Sunday's loss. The MRIs on Monday were negative, so it's only a strain, it's not a tear. That's good for owners. Deshaun Jackson says he'll be a game-time decision come Monday, and that's even after their last week bye, so maybe he's going to need a little bit more time to come back. Lewis Murphy has a chest injury, and he hopes to be cleared by doctors this week to practice, and then play on Sunday. Chris Cooley took himself out of the game on Sunday with back spasms and an ankle injury, but then he came back in the game in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, I guess there's nothing to worry about too much with him because he's a workhorse.
Right.
For a full list of injuries, check our website every day. And now I'm going to pass it over to Frank for the predictions on week 9.
Thank you, Sean. Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates and basically their entire team this upcoming week, they're playing Houston. They're dead last. They're the only team giving up more than 300 yards a game in the NFL right now, passing through the air. I mean, why is Houston this bad when their run defense isn't that bad?
Yeah.
How is it that they're that bad?
Well, I think teams are noticing that their run defense is pretty good. And they're just saying, well, their pass defense is terrible, so why even try? Why run the ball? Go pass heavy. Plan during the week to go pass heavy, and they're just taking advantage of it.
Absolutely. Moving on, Matt Forte against Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo, as we already talked about, Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones rushed for 254 yards combined, and that doesn't include the receptions out of the backfield, but that's just what their rushing totals were. So Buffalo is moving in the wrong direction. They were giving up 180 yards rushing a game, so now they're probably closer to almost 190.
That's
or
crazy.
some sort of. It's unbelievable. So Vikings and AP versus Arizona. Arizona's giving up the second most points in the league right now. 27, some change, I believe. So they're terrible on defense too. Sleeper this week, Mohamed Massaquoi, coming off a concussion 2 weeks ago. They had a bye. They're playing the Patriots, who looked okay more recently, but Brett Favre at one point was, I think, 13 out of 15 before he was concussed and knocked out of the game. Massaquoi and the Browns are going up against the Patriots. They're 30th or 31st, second to last against the pass.
Yeah.
So that's a sleeper this week is Massaquoi. Moving on, in that same game actually, the Patriots will probably get out to a lead and they're going to have to pass. So look for whoever's playing cornerback. We're thinking of Seneca Wallace this week. Holmgren came out and said that he's going to start whoever he thinks can give them the best chance to win moving forward. He's not just going to stick with Colt McCoy. But Massaquoi, even Brian Robisky possibly out of the slot might be a good pickup. So take a look at them if you need somebody in a deep league. Moving on to the bus, we got Matt Schaub going up against the best pass defense in San Diego. In that same game, they're actually San Diego's number 2 against the run. So Arian Foster and Matt Schaub don't have good matchups, but something's got to give. And San Diego's actually given up the 14 most points in the league this year, 21.8 points a game. Right, yeah, it's been bad. I mean, Hasselbeck and the entire offense against the Giants this week, not very good. I would probably start all of them. They're ranked 3rd in rushing and 2nd against the pass, the Giants are. And Hasselbeck and Seattle looked lethargic, to say the least. I mean, I think Hasselbeck got hurt, dinged up, but I mean, against Oakland, who we thought that was a decent matchup from a passing perspective, not a good one from a running perspective, because Oakland's a good run defense. But they look terrible. Steve Smith of Carolina against New Orleans secondary. Big Ben had a pretty tough day against New Orleans this past week, and they only scored 10 points. Pittsburgh did against New Orleans, so look for Steve Smith to get shut down a little bit there. Cedric Benson against Pittsburgh, terrible matchup. Pittsburgh's number 1 against the run this year. So yeah, take a look at sitting him if you have other options. And then we got KC, Thomas Jones, and Jamal Charles, who had big weeks against Buffalo, are going up against Oakland, who's looked very good against the run, and they looked great last week. We think that they're going to try to make Matt Castle beat them, and if Oakland stays hot, they seem like they could go over 500 for the first time in recent history. They're 4-4 right now. What do you think of Oakland right now?
I mean, their defense has been surprising me. If they're a free agent in your league, you might want to take a look at them. If you have a bye coming up, your defense has a bye approaching. Look at Oakland. I mean, they scored a lot of touchdowns this year, and they have a lot of turnovers.
Right.
So, that's carrying them through it.
Yeah, I think that completes the show for today.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out the website, fantasyfootballreporters.com. Enter the contest, answer the question, the poll question's up. You stay sexy as hell, Mrs. Tom Brady.